Yes, my boss. I'm live, huh? Yes, my boss. Can I continue?
You are live. Once you see the live, they are live. You don't see it in front of you.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome, good afternoon or good evening, viewers. Welcome to New Global Media. Uh, this is your host, Mr. Malain Jaju. This is your special program that do comes your way every Friday from the hours of 4 upwards. But today we started very late. That is, we are starting from 5 onwards. This program talks about education, purely education, because it's important for us to discuss issues regarding our education in the Gambia. And just as I said, this is your host, Malain Jaju. Thanks to our technician, Mr. Sawane, who is out there at the United States of America. Our topic today is we are going to look at negative impact of smartphones for students with education. Yes, looking at smartphones, anyway, many of us will say that smartphones are good. It helps in education, more especially making research and other related issues to learning. But the question would be, do our kids, ongoing children, do they use smartphones for learning? This is one of the questions that I may ask. And the answer could be, yes, some students use smartphones for learning, making research on whatever they learn at school, and whenever they go back home, they can use or make best use of the smartphone to make research on what they have learned from their teachers. Or they might use smartphones to make research on things that they don't know in order for them to get a good information that they need, or good information that will be helpful to their education. But if you look at the present days, smartphones anyway, I would say smartphone is doing more harm than good, because most of our students will no longer use smartphones for making research, but instead they will use smartphones for maybe watching movies and other things that are not related to education, which might waste their time. Instead of reading their books, students will be focused on smartphones making unnecessary research or watching unnecessary movies that will not bring any dividend, or that will not pay dividends to their education. So this is why it is important for us to look at this aspect, because it's a very important area. Most of us might say smartphones help. Just as I said earlier, yes, smartphone helps. If you go to the tertiary institutions, or if you are in the higher level or higher grades, let's say even 9, 10, 11, 12, you can of course use smartphones to make research. Maybe a teacher can treat a topic, and with the explanation of the teacher, you might not able to understand better. But now if you close school, go back home, During your comfort time, you can get a smartphone, make research to a particular topic that you believe you did not understand. So smartphones definitely helps in making sure educations become easy to our learners. But in 100%, one can say chunk of the students do use smartphones wrongly. That is watching movies that are not even connected to the topic or topics or syllabus, which might bring a waste of time for that particular or that chunk of students. And in doing so, it do not help much. And the students will not be able to be focused on their notes. And if students are distracted, and all what they can do is watching unnecessary movies, meaning they will not be able to focus to read their syllabus or to read their notes that will help them pass exams. Good number of students who are doing good, they make best use of smartphones, of course. But also, some students that are not doing good in exams, we can say because of the distraction of the smartphones, leading them to failures. And we can see our education in the Gambia, definitely sometimes we question our education. Do we go to school to learn after completing to create our own jobs, to have our own, to create our own employment? Or we learn at the end of the day, we have to sit down and apply for jobs. This is why today, if you looked at the Gambia, we can realize that good number of students graduate from the tertiary institution, example, the Gambia College. But many of them are sitting down because the education they have cannot give them an employment, but they have to apply to the authorities in order for them to have employment. So we are trying to say that smartphones, of course, helps. But looking at the education of the Gambia, honestly, we will realize that the education is just to learn the script, understand the writings, understand the informations in the book. We understand the information to our fingertips. But after which, we cannot able to create our own employment, or we cannot employ ourselves. So we realize this, that there is so many things that we need to look at into our education. Looking at the syllabus is a debatable thing. Others will say the syllabus that we are using, other critics will say the syllabus that we are using does not suit our future generation. Over the years, our education depends on reading and writing, which I believe now we are okay with reading scriptures and writing texts. We can able to read and write. But do we have employment after graduation without writing or applying to the government? The answer is no. Currently, or presently, the Gambia students that completed grade 12 and passed through the Gambia College, after graduating from the Gambia College, good number of them are sitting down at home. They could not able to have employment, simply because that they are prepared. The education of the Gambia is in such a way that students can learn, and at the end of the day, they cannot have self-employment. So this is also another problem. And if we watch, or if you use smartphones, we see different ways, or we see different creativities from other countries, whereby students will graduate and they will become, or they will employ themselves. Now, the only education here in the country that we think we can able to bring up is technical or skill education. Is very important. Now, if students complete their grade 12 and they go to the to GTTI, they learn skills, of course, construction, metalwork, woodwork, and after graduating from that tertiary institutions, you can able to employ yourself rather than applying to the government for employment. What about if you are not employed by the government? Meaning, you learn, you have this stuff, but you go and sit at home. You cannot be able to employ yourself. You cannot be able to have employment rather. So we need to change our syllabus that we normally use in schools. Is very important. I know educational authorities might be listening to this program, and I hope they will take what we are trying to put across. We are not saying that education or reading and writing is not good. It's of course good, because you cannot, as a learner, you have to be able to read. You have to be able to write. But after that, what next? Looking at skills education is very neglected. Most of us pass through the arts field, where we read different disciplines, the history, government, literature. But at the end of the day, what exactly can we do in order to employ ourselves in the case that the government cannot employ us? So many of the students today are sitting at home simply because the education being given to them, or the way they are prepared, cannot give them employment. And this is high time for educational authorities to look into this very well, so that we can be able to change our educational system that will be able to suit a generation or our future generation. Unemployment is something in the Gambia now is challenging. After senior secondary school, you have to pass through the Gambia College, or you go to the Gambia University. In fact, if you are in the School of Education, if you pass through the School of Education in the Gambia College, I'm very sorry for you. Because after completing your course at the college, you hardly have employment from the government. The Minister of Basic and Secondary Education is no longer employing teachers. And we have teacher gaps in so many schools, more especially up countries. So it is very important for us to look at this area. Just as the topic may implies, that is the negative impact of smartphones. Of course, smartphones give very negative impacts. The impact here, I'm going to repeat again, that is, many of our learners, or many learners in the Gambia, focuses more on the smartphones. You understand? But at the end of the day, the research they make from the smartphone might not help in connection to what they learn from school.